You said something key, and that was when God tells you something about yourself, and you're kind of like, "Ooh, I hope that's true, God. Okay, you said I'm free, okay." And maybe having those thoughts of struggling after He says that. And I think that's good because sometimes we'll hear a word from God, whether it's a prophecy or just something that He'll speak to us. And I thought it was going to take a minute. I was like, this is going to be a minute till I'm totally free from this. This is going to take a minute. Because that was like all I knew when it came to a relationship. And so the fact that God did it quicker than what I expected, and that's a word for somebody, like He'll do it quicker than you think when you totally surrender.
Right.
Because that's what I did. Before that deliverance, I had to surrender to God, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where you get your sanity
That's
too. Sanity is in the surrender.
Nobody had to ask her first.
Don't hate.
And we sometimes keep ourselves in fear by calling ourselves thinking for God.
Right.
Like, I did this thing for this amount of time, so I'm going to have to wait at least this amount of time, times 3 probably, because it was really bad. So maybe 12 years after this. Like, we start...
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's how I felt about like my student loans. And it was so much, and I was so irresponsible, and I just signed stuff and spent refund checks and did my thing, and then got a job and ignored the phone calls and ignored the letters and didn't pay for a while, and then I got myself together years later. So when everybody started talking about forgiveness, I was like, that ain't for Tata.
For me. Yeah.
I know I ain't gonna. I already know. Yeah. You already know. Like, I ain't getting forgiven because I ain't even do right at the beginning. So I was already, I literally canceled. I was like, and it's okay. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna fill these papers out, but you already know. Like, don't get your hopes up in the topic. Yeah. Because you messed up. But I filled it out. I faxed it out. I sent it. And I told you, I've given that testimony, the amount of times I had to read that paper. Mm-hmm. I was like, all of it? All? I could not believe, I was like, all of it? Now? Before other people who I feel did better with their finances than me? So we really, feel like we know what God's going to do. Right. We be, issuing our own
sentences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we're making ourselves God for real. Like, we're not gonna say it like that. Like, exactly. God, I'm God over you. Yeah. We're not gonna say that, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And He says that my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. Yeah. So yeah.